Hey y'all, it is heckin' Wednesday? What am I doing here on a Wednesday? Well, friends, first of all, you deserve an extra video because I've missed literally so many videos in the past year and I'm sorry. But also, yesterday I ranted about Hank Green's book and how I didn't really like the style it was written in because it was written basically like he was talking, which, you know, I don't know, it wasn't my favorite thing, although, okay, we'll get to that. So, today, I was listening for the first time to John Green's podcast, The Anthropocene Review, in which he basically takes two, things from the human experience, like one episode, Scratch and Sniff stickers, and the Indy 500. So it's two, and they're often contrasting things, and, reviewing them on a 5-star scale, and also, which is really interesting, connecting them to, deeper things. Like, one of them that I recently listened to, I mean, they're all recent, but Hawaiian pizza, he connected it to the Columbian exchange and the history of the world over the past 500 years and the way that humans, interact with each other to create civilization, which I was like, that's pretty deep, man. That's deep, fam. But it's really cool, and so not only is the subject matter really intriguing, but in contrast to an absolutely remarkable thing, which I reviewed yesterday, this is written in such a beautiful style. It is wonderful prose. I've never appreciated writing more in my life. Because I had English classes, but there were a few times when I was like, oh yeah, I see how this is cool, what you did with these words here. Usually poetry. But when you get prose that's like poetry, I'm like, bruh. Oh, the one prose that I did appreciate in English class was The Narrative of the Life of Frederick Douglass by Frederick Douglass. That was cool. The Anthropocene Review is beautiful prose because so it's not a podcast where, he's just sitting down and randomly talking. He actually, drafts and writes it like an article, basically, from my understanding. He drafts the whole thing as writing, and then he just reads it. And yes, there is some added effect by his own voice saying it, and the slight background music that they added, but I'm still giving this a fair comparison to An Absolutely Remarkable Thing, because I listened to Hank reading part of the first chapter of An Absolutely Remarkable Thing, and gonna be honest, I really did appreciate the writing more when Hank was speaking it rather than when I was reading it, because he was writing it in a speaking style. So it's better when it's spoken. But John's, I think I would appreciate it just as much if I was reading it, because the prose is just so beautiful, and I keep saying that. So, I mean, I keep noticing literary devices when I'm listening to this podcast, right? I'm like, oh wow, that was really good use of polysyndeton, John, good job. Or that was really cool word choice. I remember this one time, I don't remember what he was reviewing, but he was referring to eating as a gross experience, so he used masticating. I'm like, that's not a word I would have thought of using, but it's completely appropriate in this situation, and it adds meaning, and that's exactly what you need to do with words. John you can see how carefully he crafts his words, and his anecdotes, and his quotes, and just everything coming together to this beautiful harmony of words, and I really love it, so please check out the Anthropocene Review if you haven't already. And An Absolutely Remarkable Thing is an absolutely mediocre thing. I love the plot of it, but here I am, and it's interesting because I have noticed that as time goes on, I find myself appreciating prose more and more, and plot's still important, but prose is equally important, if not more. I remember several years ago I didn't even care about prose at all, but here I am talking about polysyndeton unironically. I will see you tomorrow.